BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this program about your Kundalini experiences, a conversation with your Kundalini, so to speak. My name is Chrism, and I've come from a Kundalini perspective. I've had the Kundalini in the awakened state for about 30 years, coming up to 30 years. And it is an amazing ride. And, when I say 30 years, it could be 30 seconds. And it is what the Kundalini makes it. I mean, some people need 30 seconds. Some people need 30 years. You can tell I'm a slow learner. But also sometimes we have to learn how to navigate what the Kundalini brings to us as the years go by. If you have a family, then you have to learn how to navigate how you interrelate with your children, with your spouse, with your in-laws, with your cousins, aunts, uncles, all of these things. You have to learn how to interact with people within different stages of life. And so, as you have the Kundalini when you're 21, well, your response to the Kundalini and what she brings you will be different than when you're 51 or when you're 81. These types of situations do matter within the context of the sacred transformation into semi-divinity that the Kundalini is bringing. And so try to look at that as the bridge, really. You will still need to be in society to a degree. It doesn't mean that you can't, go off to a cave and, do the meditation and do the things that the Kundalini will give to you as you're, being a hermit in a cave. It's quite all right to do that. I've actually wanted to do that for a while, but, she's not allowing that for me, at least not at this moment. So, but for some of you, this may be an allowable exercise to participate in. If you ever get thrown into prison, request solitary confinement. That will be an opportunity to be a hermit in a cave. I mean, it is a perfect opportunity to be a hermit in a cave. Somebody brings you food and water, and it's dark, and you can meditate, you can do your exercises, you can do everything you need to do. So there's positives to almost any situation that you can bring yourself into. Not all situations, to be sure, but for many situations, the infusion of Kundalini can be a very, very powerful and beautiful and resourceful relationship. So there is that, and I wanted to bring that in. I just had a discussion with a person about, the difficulties that they're having with the amplification of the Kundalini and all these things. And before I go further, just to make sure I'm not talking to the air, I would like to ask anybody in the chat room, which I can now see. I can now see the chat room. I see Emma and Jan and Manisha and Lana Seeker and the guests. Is the sound coming through okay? This is our normal sound check. So, okay, Jan Bien said, sound is good. Thank you, Jan. Thank you. Okay, so as we struggle through the extreme amplification that the Kundalini can bring with regards to the social expectations of what it is to live in a society, sometimes you can just get so overburdened with the many amplitudes of expectation and attachment that you just need to go somewhere where there isn't anybody. A cave, would serve that purpose. Not so much a prison cell, but I mean, if you have to go to prison, well, then solitary confinement would be my option. Or if you find yourself in prison already and somehow you're able to listen to this program, prison offers a lot of positive benefits, like getting yourself off of drugs, getting yourself off of the many addictions that society has to offer, giving yourself time to meditate, giving yourself time to pray, giving yourself time to do the different yogas that will come to you from your Kundalini, different understandings of how your life has gone and how life has gone and brought you into a jail cell, and how your life can proceed while you're there, and if there is a possibility of coming back into society, then how your life may proceed as you are reinserted into society. So the Kundalini is a very, very good friend to people in almost every situation. I would have to say, I always shy away from the absolutist type of terms, but I have to say in every situation, the Kundalini is the best of friends there, for sure. For sure. And, you could have been in a car accident. You could have had some seizures. You could have had a heart attack or suffered a stroke or any of the above. And 1,000 more in addition to that. And the Kundalini will always be with you. It will always be helping you. It will always be opening doors to you and for you, and giving you recourse that physical society cannot give. Kundalini will bring you out of your body so you can see your body. She'll bring you in your body so that you can see inside your body in a better, stronger, more clearly factual way. If you have, if you have cancer, she can pinpoint that cancer for you, and she can work on that cancer with you. And you can see the karma that may have brought that cancer into being within you. You can see the energies and how your activities on life may have added to the presence of cancer in the physical body, and you can reprogram the cells that have been turned into cancer cells, and you can reprogram right back into normal, healthy cells. You've just got to be aware of the possibilities that you can do this. She gives you the strength. She gives you the ability. She will walk you hand in hand inside your body, inside your brain, inside your spinal cord. She will walk with you and educate you about what you have done in this life, what you may have done in other lives, and what you need to do as a best choice response to work with the challenges that she is allowing you to have. She'll give you to a society. She'll give you to a teacher. She'll give you to a set of informations that are coming to you. And it doesn't matter what your little person, the ego in you, wants you to participate in. Doesn't matter. All that matters is that you give yourself to the Kundalini. And that includes that little person, that the inner 8-year-old. This is very important for people to understand. This is part of the whole huge apparatus of surrender to the Kundalini that I've talked about in other programs. People need to understand that surrendering is not just saying, okay, I won't eat any more avocados. Oh, yeah, I am avocado free. The last avocado has left my apartment. I am done with avocados because Kundalini said so. Therefore, I have surrendered my life to Kundalini because I no longer will partake of avocados. This is not what I'm talking about, and yet in a very, in the width of a hair, it is. It is what I'm talking about. So if she says take out avocados, then that's exactly what you do. But what if she says take out your fear? What about that? We could write a billion books upon our own fear. the fear of loss, the want of gain, which is the fear of not having enough, which is, and it just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so do you surrender your fear to the Kundalini? And if you surrender your fear to the Kundalini, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? How deep are you willing to go in the surrendering of your fears to Kundalini, to God, to grace, to that which is manifesting within you right now? Ask yourself the question, what fears do I want to keep, and what fears do I want to give to my Kundalini? Come on. Everybody in the chat room, everybody on the phone listening to this, what fear do I want to keep, and what fear do I want to give to Kundalini? And why would you want to keep any fears? If the Kundalini wants your fear, why don't you just give it to her? Why don't you just give it to her? Why keep it? What good? What good is it doing you? How is fear serving you? I've talked a couple of shows back about, all these people are upset at me right now, attacking me, trying to take the videos off and trying to get me off of Facebook, all this stuff. And these are people that are just responding from fear. Anger is just displaced fear. Revenge, displaced fear. And of course, the entities are going to feed off of that fear. Fear is food for negative, discarnate interactions. Meaning, when I say that, I know I'm using Latin here, but negative. The Christians and the Buddhists and the Hindu will call them demons. So demons, we have to use demons. I prefer negative entities because it has less of a powerful impact. But demons are what feed fear, and they are what promote fear. Okay, and they exist. They exist as tests of our willingness to enter into levels of corruption. That's why they exist. That's why they're there. And that's how they were produced, by people going deep and deep and deep into levels of destruction and the corruption of their soul. You cannot destroy a soul, but you can corrupt it in certain ways. And that's what's happened to some of these entities. And their job and their punishment is to be that which they allowed themselves to become corrupted, and to spread that corruption to other people as options, as a test. It's like, well, does Chrism want to do it this way, or does he just want to do it this other evil way? That will hurt that family or that person or that organization, that type of a thing. And it's important for us to look at these choices that we're making, all within the idea of the learnings that the Kundalini is offering us. Now, we have the noble behaviors, and so that's the antithesis of the corrupting behaviors. And we have levels of positive, that whole idea of an angel on one shoulder and a demon on the other, right? Well, there's more truth to that than you might realize, although, whenever I see that, I see cartoons. But there is more to that, because here we're given the illusion of choice. And I say illusion of choice because we don't really get to choose the wrong answer here. If we choose the wrong answer, then we got to come back and correct that wrong answer, right? That's the karma. If you choose the right answer, well, you don't have to come back and have that answer corrected, because you've chosen the correct answer, and therefore you have evolved beyond what the whole question was in the first place. So if you respond from fear, I'll say, oh, that Chrism, he's such a nasty, terrible person. I just want anything to do with him because of the information he gave me that I don't want to agree with, and because I don't want to agree with, then it's not the information for me, because my ego doesn't like it, because my family doesn't like it, and my friends don't like it, and they don't like him either, and therefore, I'm going to make this choice, whereas it's the Kundalini that brought you information that this person's giving in the first place. And the Kundalini does not make mistakes with you. Not at all. And so there's so much to learn. So much to learn. When you're asked to give your fear to the Kundalini, I'm going to suggest that you give your fear to the Kundalini. And just for 5 minutes, live a fearless life. Live a fearless life. Just for 5 minutes. And if it feels good to you, if it feels good and that you feel that you can do it, extend that to 6 minutes. And so on and so forth as you become comfortable with living a fearless life. This is important. Now, fear can manifest. You can, I was talking to a guy that just ran into a telephone pole with his car, and that's a difficult thing. You wake up inside the ER, and you don't know where you are, or why you got there, or how you got there. You just know that whoa, they've got this mask on me and all these hoses and wires and whatnot hooked up to me. What the heck's going on, right? You say, oh, Mr. So-and-so, you have been in a car crash, all of that. And the fear comes in. It's like, oh my God, what did I do? Did I kill somebody? Was anybody with me? Am I going to be paralyzed for life? Or, all the worst case scenarios come through. And I'm going to suggest you just trust your Kundalini. You trust the Kundalini. And it's better if you trust her before you get in the car in the first place. Actions of trust, actions of surrender to the Kundalini matter more than just the word concepts of that trust. So, for instance, an action of trust, a thought that is transformed into an action or an activity or a physical expression of trust of the Kundalini matter more than just thinking about that trust or just thinking about that action. Thinking is good, don't get me wrong. You've got to have the thought first before you can make the action, but you've got to carry it through to the action or the expression. And so as you get in the car, you haven't, let's say you haven't participated in alcohol. You haven't participated in any kind of a drug or you're not participating in a condition that you may have. You're not participating in a way that is going to cause you or other people damage. You're not putting other people at risk because they're driving on the same stretch of pavement that you are. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's important for people to understand that and to realize that and to give their trust to the Kundalini at the same time that they nourish the Kundalini presence within them. They nourish that person. So, like I said earlier, if you have a cancer or something like that, you go straight to your Shakti and you do what she tells you to do. Some of you have an excellent communication with the Kundalini guidance within you. Some of you even have names for the Kundalini guidance within you. You have a name that you have that you may have been calling that guidance, for as long as for many, many years. Frank, maybe Frank was the name of your Kundalini guidance, or Aloysius, or Fabio, whatever. You may have a name for the grace of God within you, and because you have that name, that you have a familiarity. And I'm going to suggest that as you have any kind of an incapacitation, whether it be from a car crash or cancer or some neurological condition, that you begin to have daily conversations with that guidance within you. and you base your actions upon that inner guidance that is being given to you. Just make sure that you know it. You know that if it's, if it's Fabio, the Fabio that you've always known, make sure that it is that frequency of interaction and not an entity coming in and calling itself Fabio, because we are observed by many, many, many levels of consciousness, and through that observation, certain corruptions are allowed to enter into us in order to test us and test our will and test our resolve. And you've got to also understand, it's like within the instructions that the Kundalini will give to you as you initiate those conversations, there are some things that will have to be done over and over and over and over and over. But there are, these will also evolve. As you evolve, so do these practices evolve. And you never want to feel that your feet are encased in cement, because they're not. They are not encased in cement. You are always mobile within the Kundalini. You're always mobile. You may not be on your feet. You may be flying, but you're still mobile within the Kundalini. And this is an important concept for people to understand. Now, I noticed that as I stream the Shakti, she's shifting from subject to subject to subject to subject. And I just want you to realize that, and to know that I know this, and that, especially for those of you that are listening in the archives, just rewind. Just rewind the recording and listen to it again in order to catch certain levels of information that she's putting out. It's the stream is an actual stream. It flows, and it goes from subject to subject to subject to subject to subject, not within my control. It's hard to describe when you stream Shakti. It's just she takes over, and she begins to capitalize on certain subjects that have a resonance with what has been, say, occurring on the groups and within my consciousness, what she wants you to be aware of. So feel free to use that rewind button, everybody. This goes for everybody in the chat room, and everybody who's listening in the archives, and everybody who's listening on live on Facebook as well. Feel free to use that rewind button. Okay, continuing on. So from whatever condition that you find yourself in, whether it's condition of illness or condition of recovery or a condition of just, really, really, integrating the Kundalini and bringing more and more and more Kundalini into your body and into your mind and into your choices. Surrender your fear. Surrender your fear to her. It doesn't mean that you jump out of the car at 60 miles per hour. That's something that entities will guide you to do, because they want you to kill yourself. And I've had interactions with people that have done that exact thing. And because they had the Kundalini, as they threw themselves out of the car at 60 miles per hour, and I think that's like 70 kilometers per hour, somewhere like that, they bounced off of the pavement and bounced right back into the car. She was not going to let them commit suicide that way, and certainly not under those conditions. So there is something for you to consider. Look, just because the Kundalini doesn't show you all the amazing phenomena that she can do doesn't mean that she can't do it. It just means that it's not there for your ego entertainment, and it's not there for your ego satisfaction. It's not there. The phenomena is not there so that you can strut and brag about how enlightened you are. That's why, for the most part, it's hidden. It's not for the public view, because almost all of the public is there for ego engorgement, and whether they're engorging themselves to position themselves in a level of a powerful illusion for the other people around them, or just for themselves. It's not for the ego to partake of. And this is really important. This is really important. So the extreme virtues and phenomena of the Kundalini will typically not come in a way that you could film it on television. You won't be able to telekinetize the orange, from an audience member and have it fly up into your hand on stage. This is not what the Kundalini is about. The Kundalini is not about that kind of self-aggrandizement. Okay, so just an FYI, that it can do anything. It could get rid of that cancer. It could give you a whole new spinal cord. It can give you a whole new brain, a whole new body, a whole new heart in an instant. And I mean a nano instant. I mean, 1/1,000,000th of 1,000th of 1 second, right? Boom, it just happened. Boom, it's there. The transformation has been made. But that is not how you would learn. All you would learn from that is, one, that the Kundalini has the power to do that, and two, here's a whole new organ that I can abuse. You have to learn how to use your body appropriately now, at whatever age you are, at whatever moment in life you are. Now, as I look on the chat room here, hi everybody there. I see various age ranges. I got people in their 20s, people in their 40s, people in their 50s. Different age groups. And it doesn't, there is no judgment on age. There is no ageism involved with this. But what there is a certain amount of wisdom that has been accrued through life experiences and through the testing of the Kundalini that has caused that life experience to come into fruition. And so, as you have that wisdom, how much of that wisdom is based in fear of loss or want of gain? How much of that wisdom is based in fear of loss or want of gain, which basically the two ends of the fear spectrums. And are you willing to give that fear to your Kundalini? Are you willing to surrender your fear to the Kundalini, which is a question I asked a little while ago. Your fear of a lack of mobility, your fear of having to be cared for, your fear of illness, your fear of not having enough money, your fear of this, your fear of that, your fear of being exposed to society in any specific way. Are you willing to give your fear to the Kundalini? I am. I tend to, I have to, in order to stream the Shakti, I can't have fear present in the system at the times that I'm streaming the Shakti. Concern is not fear. I'm talking the kind of fear that immobilizes you or that causes you to change your ways. Now, fear of putting your hand on the hot stove type of thing, right? That teaches you not to put your hand on the hot stove. But when it comes to behavior-based fears, psychological fears, emotional fears, am I accepted by my family or not? Fears. Am I accepted by society that I'm in or not? Fears. Am I acceptable to my friends or not? Fears. And do I feel alone if I don't have people around me that are saying, hey, good going, blah, blah, blah. Do I accept myself by myself without fear? Do you? Can you give those fears to the Kundalini? Can you talk with her and walk with her and laugh with her and love the person you are as she loves you, as the sacred divine mother loves you? Can you do that? Can you stand your ground when it comes to people telling you you're not doing the right thing, when you know you're doing the right thing because you're following what the Kundalini is giving you to do? Can you stand your ground to your own family? What if your son comes up and says, hey, man, dude, father, daddy, I just don't think you're making the right choices, and I love you, and I'll take care of you, and I'll do everything I can for you, but you got to do it on my terms. You can't do it on your terms, because even though you're my father and I love you, but I just, this Kundalini thing, I mean, what the heck is that? What have you been eating? Too much tortellini, and now you're mispronouncing it, calling it doodlini? What is going on with you? I don't understand. You never, this never came up in our family discussions when I was younger. And it scares me, Dad. It scares me. Falling off the deep end. You're going into crazy land. And we know that you're kind of getting up there in age, and, senility and, Alzheimer's, and, I just don't want to have to send you to a convalescent home. Or I don't want to have to send you to the psych ward. Or I don't want to have to, I want you to be able to take care of yourself along the ways that I think is best for you. Well, how do you stand up to those fears that others have about you? You listen to what your Shakti tells you to do with regards to that. How you respond to the individual, how you can come from a place of fearlessness to ground their fears about you, to eliminate their concerns about you. And one of the ways that I suggest that this is done for you is you just don't talk about it with them. I know that sounds like you're hiding it, and they're the teacher in you, the great divine teacher within you wants to say, wait, no, this is an ascension. This is the next evolution of humanity. We've got to go from mundane to mundane divine before we can get to fully divine and move into a next dimension of expression. But let me tell you, my friends, not everybody's ready to hear that. All you have to do is say that to them one time, watch their eyes glaze over, and they will never treat you the same again. That's true. I remember sitting in my family. We have a big family gathering. It's an American holiday called Thanksgiving. The whole family gathers around this big table, big rectangular table, and my brother is sitting across from me, in front of the whole table, about 20 people there, 21 people. And he says, well, hey, what is this Kundalini stuff anyway? Just a second here. Looks like I have to do something here. Schedule restart. And I'll pick it on just a second, folks. I just don't want this to turn off on me as some sort of Microsoft thing. Let's see. And we'll go there and there. 4:02 a.m. Okay. Thank you for your patience with that. So, Brother Tim, he asked me, he says, well, what is this Kundalini thing anyway? And I started to explain it to everybody at the table. And I watched all their eyes glaze over. And he says, well, what do you do with it? And, I said, well, you do what it wants you to do, and he just, as he looked at me with his eyes glazed, and all his kids looked at me with his eyes glazed, and my parents looked at me with their eyes glazed, and my two sisters looked at me with their eyes glazed, I thought, well, that's about all I'm going to say about that. And ever since then, and probably before, I've been the crazy uncle for his children and my sister's kids. You gotta really, really, really keep a lot of this to yourself, unless you're okay with initiating changes within your relationships with your friends and your family, your workmates. I don't recommend going around town trumpeting this to people. it just frightens them because it's an unknown. And it lessens their ability to trust anything that you have to say, because all of a sudden now you're the crazy man. You're the crazy person. Now, unless some people have a very Kundalini, a pro Kundalini family, and you know, more than one person has it in the family, and you know, people are open to it. People are good with the information. They may not they may not want to have it in a ultra expressive way like you may be having in the family, but they don't chastise you. They don't condemn you. They don't think you're crazy. They understand that, oh yeah, this is a real deal. And you know, for those people, wow, what a blessing. What a blessing. You can talk about it openly and freely. But for most people, this is not the case. This is not the case. And so, of course, this is why, in order to keep peace and serenity within your relationships with your friends and family, don't go around saying, God, you know, I feel like I'm out. I feel like I can see the back of your head and the front of your face at the same time, dude. It's not going to land well. So this is why she doesn't trumpet herself through you. This is why she doesn't do that instantaneous flash healing. She does it on some, but typically not within the medical theater where the MDs are, you know, have just discovered this mass of black cancerous tumor within you. And all of a sudden they see it and then it's gone instantaneously. It doesn't work that way all the time. Sometimes it does, but most times it won't. People cannot be forced into levels of divine consciousness so abruptly. They have to come into it gradually. And typically they have to come into it by producing a body or embodying a physical being from infancy to adulthood that is going to be able to hold that level of information, hold that voltage of information. Not everybody can hold the voltage that you're having right now when you're having the Kundalini. They can't. They just can't. It will not fit into their societal understandings. It will not fit into their emotional understandings. You've got to be considerate enough to not force that on them. Seriously. And I know that you're going to want to reach out to somebody that you know and say, hey, I'm your son, I'm your daughter, I'm your friend, I'm your cousin, you know, I'm your workmate, you know, I care about you, and this is happening to me, and what do you think? And, you know, you want that herd mentality to be fulfilled. You want to have somebody know about what is happening to you. And I get that. I do get that. I understand that. But this is another fear that you can give to the Kundalini. This is another fear that you can give to Kundalini. And before I waste any more time on this type of a stream, I would like to introduce my co-host. Her name is Santara Kunalini. She is what makes this program available to you. So all gratitude to Santara Kunalini and her Kundalini. And welcome to the show, Santara.
Hi, Chrism. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I don't think you're wasting time on the stream at all. I think you're probably interrupting it to say hi. You know, there's something I'd actually like to share that I'm okay to share with now. It's something I don't, you know, I haven't really spoken that much about it before. But it is one of the graces or the skills, maybe is another word, that Kundalini has given me. And, you know, it's kind of tied into what you were saying, I think, because that's when it came to me that it was okay to speak about it. it's like this global view that she gives me sometimes. It's not empathic now. I'm not talking about that, even though it's kind of related, but it's not the same. It's a sort of a detached. Okay, so what it is that Kundalini graces me to be able to see quite often where a person is coming from, you know, their fears or concerns or their projections or assumptions, you know, their loving intent, or maybe, you know, their not so loving or hateful intent, or their confusion, or their willingness to listen or not listen. And that's how I can help people. Like you were speaking about family. When my Kundalini started, that was how she assisted me to communicate with my family. She allowed me to understand or to see all those things with some of my family and my friends, and indeed people who contact me, you know. So that's, I think, how my family are now quite supportive of me, because she gave me this wonderful sight, I think. And sometimes it's not great. I can get cross, because within the context of that, I have to be extremely responsible for what she gives me, you know. But it also is a beautiful gift, and that has enabled me and assisted me with my family, for them to be now so supportive, or as you described, actually, just so okay with the Kundalini, even though some of them, it would not be for them, you know. And the same with people who
Right.
come to help, or, you know, so she assists us that way, Chrism, and I was just given that I could share that.
Yeah, she does in some cases assist us in those ways. She didn't assist me in those ways. Okay. Even though, you know, I have a good relationship for the most part with my family, it is a changed relationship because of the Kundalini. And, you know, and it's not so much the fault of anybody. It's just the society that we're raised in here. And the provocation of certain programming that that belittles this type of an experience in the society we live in right now, that you know, introduces a giggle factor or a ridicule factor that you know, brings us into areas of ridiculousness. It's like, oh, that's just so ridiculous, you know, because it doesn't fit my understanding of life. Therefore, I'm going to ridicule this, and I'm not going to accept it, and that's not me, and therefore, because it's not me, and because you're a human, therefore it's not you either. Not realizing that everybody's different. Everybody has a different path to walk on this world. And so my family, you know, that's kind of, you know, they're not accepting of this at all. And whenever I see them these days, you know, I just don't bring it up. I don't bring it up. I don't talk about it anymore. And what a blessing it is for you to be able to do that, Centaur.
Yeah, it's been good. It can sometimes too, though, Chrism, you know, it can be difficult. You know, on the other side, when you see people, you know, being, what would you say, say not having loving intent or being hateful, to be able to actually see, you know, the origins of their confusion and their anger and all of that, and to be able to see all of that and where it's originating from. And so to be silent on these matters, because it's very important, because with such, you know, so though that's something then that the Kundalini is teaching me, that I have to be extremely respectful of as well, you know. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. You have to respect people where they're coming from. You know, there are also levels of response to how people are expressing themselves, and sometimes she comes at, you know, she she brings a response that is of a corrective nature to those people that are, say, totally engrossed in ego expression, and totally being influenced by entities and negative ego expression, negative emotional expression, and going out of their way to create dissonance within the harmony that the divine, brings to us through Kundalini. And so it's not to say that she's just going to sit back and allow all that stuff to happen. She will offer through the flesh body, through the semi-divine individual, certain points of correction, and some of those can be strong. It's just that for my family, right. No, I understand. But for my family, there is no correction for that. They are at a stage of understanding that they need to be at, and there's not, you're not going to move that forward. And it's the same with a lot of families, I think. Certainly here in the States, they love you. Yeah. They love you. They love you. They love you. They don't understand this thing, this attachment you have to Kundalini. They don't have it, or they don't think they have it. They don't have it. Their husband, their wives don't have it. And therefore, because it's not part of their world, then it shouldn't be part of yours either. And if it is part of your world, well, there's some drugs that can take care of that, Mom. Dad, just go to your MD, Dad. He'll take care of it all. Yeah. We won't have. In other words, we won't have to deal with your spiritual development anymore. Basically, is what they're saying. Yeah. So but because I keep a bit of distance from my family for other reasons too. They never really had that option for me. They don't have that option of control. And of course, if I get to an age, and I say if I get to an age where people will have to care for me, well, once again, I will surrender those concerns to the Kundalini, and I will follow what activity she gives for me to do in response to people that may have to clean and feed and dress and whatever, Chrism, and the options that will be given to me, I will be allowed to make that choice. Convalescent home or skydiving.
Well, I think we all get those choices to a degree.
Yeah.
It's a hard.
And I am. Well, wait a minute. I am a skydiver. I have my jump log and the whole bit. So we're not talking about instant suicide here. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I suppose everybody, is within their own lessons and teachings with the Kundalini, I mean, we all are. We're all on our individual paths, and regardless of how long we've had the Kundalini or how short we've had the Kundalini, short a time, there's never a time when we're not within a teaching of the Kundalini for us, I think, anyway. The lessons
I think you're right.
Board.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. There is never a time when we're not within a teaching that the Kundalini has for us. And a lot of it is just, ego, getting the heads around the ego. Looks like we have a new caller down there. If you might be able to attend to them.
Yeah. I'll go do that.
I just want to give out the call-in number. If you'd like to join us in this program, all you need to do is dial 1 and then the numbers 347-934-0026. That's 347-934-0026. That's a New York area code, and it's not. Don't worry about charges unless you're calling from overseas, like from Europe or from Asia, Australia, South America, Africa, India. If you're calling from those time periods, I don't know. There may be some charges, but you can also call in on Skype. There are various options for you to call in, but But here is the call-in number once again. It is 347-934-0026. And feel free to call into the show, and I'm going to talk to people on the chat room here. If you have a question pertaining to this, why don't you ask it? Because we'll address it. And as we address that, other people who are afraid to ask can learn. And so I just want to say, thank you in advance for any and all questions that people are asking. And this goes for the people that are listening on Facebook as well. I'm sure that as Amelia will be looking for the person that is listening or asking the questions on Facebook, and she'll relay that question to me. So any question that you have pertaining to Kundalini, I am willing to consider and to give you my best response that comes from my Kundalini to you. And so at this point, though, I'd like to initiate some thank yous. I'd like to thank Mohan for his organization of the seminar in Colorado. It has been a fabulous success. No matter what quality of Kundalini came through, and the Colorado seminar triggered a lot of people. And it triggered them in really, really, really strong ways that allowed them to go into levels of Kundalini expression that really opened the windows of understanding about, what areas they need to work on. Okay, what areas of challenge are coming to them. And I'd like to give gratitude to Rosemary and her team, which was Joey and some other folks. I'd like to give a shout out of gratitude for Rosemary and the Minnesota people for all the different seminars that were organized there, and for the seeds of grace that were planted during those times. It does not need to be a yearly thing. Sometimes it just needs to come. The seeds need to be spread, and then we need to just trust that the Kundalini will mature them in the ways they need to be matured. And Rosemary and Joey and the other folks there within the Minnesota Kundalini community, you have planted a beautiful, beautiful garden of seeds. And let's just see where it goes. Let's just see where that goes. I'd also like to give a shout out of appreciation and gratitude to Manisha Manish. And she is the individual that organized the first two Kundalini Awakening seminars in the continent of Europe. The continent of Europe. She organized the Berlin seminar, and she organized the Karlsruhe seminar. And I just want to give a great shout out and a thank you to Manisha Manish. And we'll be having another seminar there in Germany in October 20th, 21st, I believe. Let me go to my calendar, make sure that's right. And I expect all of you listening to be there. Yeah, it's October 20th and 21st, 2018. So y'all got to be there. And so a great shout out of appreciation to Manisha. And I'd also like to give a shout out of appreciation to you, Santara, for the many, many, many seminars that you have orchestrated and managed and in the United States and in the country of Ireland. A great shout out of appreciation and gratitude to you, Santara Kundalini, for the planting of those seeds in those areas. Thank you. Thank you very much for you. Oh, she's in the blue. I guess she didn't want to respond to that. She had to go to the bathroom. I don't know when.
Okay, I was doing stuff here. You're very welcome. It's my privilege, and there's many people in the chat room. I think there's at least 2, I think, there from the Ireland seminars, and it's wonderful to see the community there in the chat room every week. Hi, everybody there, and looking forward to Germany.
And I see some of the Germany. I see Tomei. Tomei is there. Tomei!
Yay! Hi, Tomei.
I see Jan. Hello, Jan. I see Venetia. I see Emma. Everybody there, right, that I just mentioned was at the German seminar. This is amazing.
Oh, I thought
Here we
Magda
go.
and Callie were there, but they're not there, actually. I think they might have been earlier.
No.
I'm looking forward to October, so see you all again.
I do too. I what a wonderful group of people. Wow. Okay, all right. So continuing onward, do you have questions?
Well, that's what I was doing when I was in the blue. So, okay. Now I know there's a question there on the. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to call it out from the. Okay. So there was a question there, and here it comes. I'm tap dancing. Okay, here it is. Is there any meaning, purpose, or significance to having fractured one's L2 vertebrae within the Kundalini context?
The first and the third vertebra?
The L2, lumbar, second lumbar.
Just the one vertebra then?
Yeah, it says to having fractured one's L2 vertebrae.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah. Of course, depending on how that was fractured, did you just take a hammer and decide to? I mean, how did you fracture it? So that is a great clue to the occur. Was it an accident? Did you fall off of a skyscraper? Did the 747 you were flying in crash? I mean, what happened to make that break? So you're not giving us, all the information. But yeah, you can fracture the lower spine. Any fracture of the lower spine can have a Kundalini activating type of response. So yeah, there is quite a bit of possibility there.
Okay, it wouldn't have to be the Cossacks then. It could be higher than that. Anything in the lumbar region could have.
Well, yeah, and any kind of severe trauma to the physical spine, wherever it is on the spine, can bring a Kundalini response. I mean, I know that one of the guys in the movie, the first guy that you see in the Kundalini documentary, he fractured his back, in a higher area, and the Kundalini immediately rushed into that area. So, a lot of it is going to depend on your karma and whether or not this is. Actually, it is. It's all going to be non-accidental. This will be something that the person must have occur.
Okay, thank you, Chrism. I'll keep an eye on that, and if it was Carolyn asked if she comes back, I will check with her and ask her how did that occur. I don't even know if she's speaking of herself or somebody else. So I'll put that to the side for a minute then. There's another question from the group, Chrism, and it's, hi, Chrism. Since last night, I have lower back pain. I didn't do the Tibetans neither last night or this morning. Do you think I should wait until my back gets better?
No. Pain in the lower spine in a Kundalini context is a good thing. It basically is showing development. What happens is, as you do the practice, like this gentleman is doing, as you do the practice, you generate a level of energetic expansion, and that expansion begins to literally expand the skeletal structures of the pelvis and the tailbone and the lower spine, and it's that expansion that causes the pain that the person is feeling. So definitely when you feel pain, there is gain within the Kundalini on that level. So I gave him the response to do the Tibetans again, And he was mostly having a problem with the second Tibetan, the one where you bring your legs up and you keep your shoulders pressed to the floor. And I counseled him to just bring his knees to his chest, which was another position and expression of the second Tibetan that I demonstrated at the seminar. Just keep your, lay on your back, keep your arms and your hands, your palm down on the floor, keep your shoulder to the floor, bring your chin to your chest and the knees to your chest at the same time, and then set them down at the same time. Do that 21 times, and that will allow you to do all of the 5 Tibetans, all 21 times. And by stopping the Tibetans, you can actually increase your level of pain.
Yeah.
By continuing the Tibetans, you continue the expansion, but the expansion is reacted to by the body as a part of a natural stream of expansion that doesn't always hurt. It's only when you stop the Kundalini practice is when a lot of deleterious things can happen. Your immune system can fall. A lot of things can happen to you that would not have happened if you had continued to do the practice. Once you start a Kundalini practice, don't stop it. Do not stop it. If you're practicing the safeties, if you're in the Shaktipat right now, like some of you are, don't stop it just because the Shaktipat ends after 25 days.
Okay.
You're setting up a circuit of divine transference. And you don't just stop that circuit because, you're going on vacation or the Shaktipat is over, or you don't just feel that you have the right and the control to call in a divine transformation and then stop it whenever your ego wants to stop it.
And I think if I could add, Chrism, because I remember having back pain as well, and I think when you continue, there's a form of trust given to Kundalini there as well. You're trusting that the back pain is not a reason to stop. You're trusting that it's an expansion, and so that I actually remember having very severe back pain and it actually going away as I committed to doing the continuing and not allowing it to be the reason I would stop. And what you're saying there about bringing up the knees, that's still a pump, isn't it? From you're still pumping.
What are you talking about the second Tibetan?
Yeah, I'm talking about the second. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all the Tibetans are pumps. They're all pumps. Okay, they pull energy from the first. The first Tibetan excites the energy. It gets the energy moving. That spinning to the right gets the energy moving. The second Tibetan pulls it from the first. The third Tibetan pulls it from the first and second. The fourth Tibetan pulls it from the first, second, and third. And the fifth Tibetan pulls it from the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. That's what occurs. And you don't want to just stop pulling that once you make the choice. And like you say, and you say correctly, Amelia, as you make that divine commitment, don't abrogate that commitment by virtue of your ego. If divinity says, hey, time to pull back from that, sorry, I'm laughing because I just looked at this, the title of this show, and you see, you spelled Kundalini Kind.
I did not, did I? What? No.
I just staring at it. Kundalini conversation. Well, that's not bad. Anyway, so you don't want to let your ego control whether or not you do the practice. If the Kundalini itself compels you to stop, well, then of course you must stop. But you will not lose in that stopping. It's just a matter of giving your body time to process. So, for instance, if the person's doing the practice a lot, which we do with the Shaktipat, I really want people to get involved with the practice of the safeties, the behavioral moderations, the expression of the noble qualities, the forgivenesses, the tolerance, the absolute truth and honesty that must be expressed. We're inundating people in a 25-day period of time with a great level of change and commitment to the divine within them. They should only stop doing that based upon what the divine within them is telling them and compelling them to do, not with their ego. So within the Shaktipat, if their ego says, well, God, I can't lift an orange with my mind. This Shaktipat was just not worth it. Oh, my God. And I gave him of my material wealth, and I can't lift an orange from 20 feet away. Santara, why did you tell me to go and do that Shaktipat? I expected to lift an orange from 20 feet away, and now I can't do it. Damn.
Oh, my God. It's my fault. It's my fault. I'm so sorry.
It's your fault because you're hanging out with that guy all the time. We all know it.
I know. And I did the Shaktipat, therefore, I forced you to do it too. I'm so sorry.
And it's Rosemary's fault too.
Absolutely. Totally.
And it's Vanessa's fault because you all organized the seminar. And we know that Emma's in there too because she's a moderator.
Uh-oh.
So we know that she's guilty as well.
Oh, listen, Carolyn has come back, Chrism, actually. She says about the vertebrae, she says, I fainted, low blood pressure, and fell down. That's how I fractured the L2 vertebrae, Santara. I didn't catch all of the answer because I keep getting cut off. Now, I've asked her how long ago did this happen, but she's obviously cut off. She hasn't come back, but she fainted due to low blood pressure.
That would be a Kundalini-induced thing. What I'm getting about her is that she's not being as self-disciplined as she needs to be with regards to responding in a way that is accepting and surrendering to the Kundalini. She still has a lot of attachments. And the Kundalini forced her to faint and to fall and to fracture that area in a way of basically forcing her to pay attention and to do this work. Some people really don't get as much of a choice as they think. The guy in the video in the Kundalini documentary, he didn't get a choice either. He got slammed into a tree off of a ski slope. Boom, there it is. Boom, it's right there all the time now. I was born in this condition, and I didn't, from a mundane standpoint, I got no choice in that. Although from a more involved standpoint, I came here with the understanding that I had to do this. But in truth, accidents do not happen for people that are involving themselves within the Kundalini, and really inside of all, here we go with the absolutism. All people are living from a basis of karma redemption, and so the things that happen to us that are deleterious to us or that we're not happy with, there's a karmic reason for that happening, and really it's the resolution of karma, the redemption of karma that drives us to make a lot of the choices that we make, and this is a truth. This is a truth, and I can't back away from that. But within the Kundalini people, the Kundalini population is even more so. So if you've got the Kundalini, and I know that she does, and yet she may not be responding as strongly to the Kundalini that's coming through her, well then Kundalini will take matters in her own hand, and boom, there you go. You get to faint, you get to fall, and you get to break that vertebra, and that'll help the flow. That'll help the flow.
Kind of awesome, isn't it?
It is. I mean,
sometimes.
I remember climbing on heavy equipment, like a huge forklift, and the metal surface was really slippery, and I slipped, and I literally fell from a level of like 3 to 4 feet in the air, down onto a flat, hard metal surface, bruising the tailbone. Oh my God, that hurts so much. And yet, it really increased the flow of the Kundalini from that tailbone at the same time.
Yeah, but you didn't know that then, I guess. I mean, often it's retrospectively, is it not?
No, I didn't.
Did you know? Oh, that's kind of cool.
I did know. I didn't
often
know. I
people-
did not know.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's retrospectively when we look back, we can see, oh, wow, there was such direction there the whole time for us.
Right.
We didn't see it, Yeah.
Her name's Carolyn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn. This would be a person that should be doing a Chöd. That person needs to do a Chöd. That would really help her. And I'll instruct you to be the Chöd master, Santara.
Well, I certainly have experience of it. Well, Chrism, that's not for everyone, I mean, that's a big
It's not.
deal,
It's not. But I think it would be good for her. For her in particular.
Well, if she's interested, she can get in contact with me. We're in the same
You be
country.
the Chöd master. You're the Chöd master. So there you go.
Stop. But it is certainly an activity, or what would you say? It's not even an activity, and it's not even a practice. It's an experience that has a huge influence upon where a person. Where I was at.
I'm looking at the chat room right now, and Tomei and Manisha and Jen and Emma, and I don't know about Lana Seeker, but I think they could probably benefit. All of this could benefit from a Chöd, CHOAD, just as an understanding. And if you look at Chöd on Facebook, let me see if I even have it in the. It's not something that I talk about a lot because people always get the wrong idea.
You're tired of defending. Your voice is going, so I think, are you moving away from the microphone?
Just a second now. Yeah, just a second. I'm looking up Chöd on the Facebook group. Just a second.
Okay, you're fine there. I'm wondering, Tomei, has Tomei done a Chöd, I wonder, or a form of Chöd ever? Maybe he has.
Well, Tomei, have you done a Chöd? Yeah, Manisha spelled it right. CHO with an umlaut D.
Manisha.
Yeah, thank you, Manisha. Tomei, have you done a Chöd? Are you a Chöd man? Or to pronounce it correctly, I guess it would be Chöd. Chöd? I don't know how to do that.
Oh, don't ask me. I have no idea. I don't know.
Chöd.
What's that? Tomei said. I don't think you have then, Tomei.
What's that? Yeah. I don't think Tomei has it, so I think Tomei would be.
Maybe, have you got a definition of what it is then? Don't look up Chöd on Google, Emma says.
Yeah, you don't want to look that one up. Don't do it the way the Tibetans do it. I don't do it the way the Tibetans do it.
Near enough, though, guys. Near enough.
Now with Tomei, I wouldn't want Tomei to say do it in Norway because, the wolves are there. Wolves and many other creatures are there, and we're not doing a Chöd to get pulled to pieces by carnivores, even though that's what they do in Tibet. They'll stake a person out, and that person will beg the demons to consume them. Sometimes people get consumed. That you find a torso here, a leg there, a head over there, that type of a thing. But we do it a bit differently from a Kundalini standpoint. The Chöd is there as a form of severe surrender, severe surrender and a very challenging level of surrender. It's quite excruciating and exciting at the same time because, as you know, Centara, you get a lot of visual activity. You get a lot of activity going on. Can you maybe just run through a little bit of your experience of the Chöds, just so people can kind of get an idea what they do, what happens?
Okay, well, I think we might have spoken about this a long time ago. For me, the Chöd was about going out into the middle of the woods and in the middle of the night, naked.
During a storm.
During a storm, yeah. And going to a place which I did have already picked out because my Kundalini led me to a place that I was to go to. So, and it was really interesting because where those trees were during the storm was very different, actually. Anyway, that's beside the point. But I tied myself to the tree. Now, the tree by my legs and my arms. Now, strictly speaking, I could have released the final hand. You know, I tied one leg, the other leg, and they were, stretched out in a star position. I could have released the right hand. That was the last one. I kind of bound it up by my right arm. But I was completely committed to not releasing. Now, what Chrism says is true. There are no wolves. There is nothing that will say, physically eat me. The wild animals would be badgers, rats, foxes, that sort of creature. Some dogs in a nearby farm that could have come through. Lots of little creatures on the earth. That would not be my favorite thing. So various elements of fear, that could be on different levels for me as I went out there in the pitch black during the storm. And it wasn't for an hour or 2 hours, it was for the whole night. So that was,
Now, didn't your husband come out at one time and tie the completely immobilized, and then? No,
that was something. No, he didn't. He knew I was out there, but I didn't have any communication or anything like that, and he didn't know where I was, and that was part of it. No, I wasn't in the middle of a desert, or, I could be found, but I was deep in the wood. But that was something that you had suggested, but I never did that. I never did that.
Well, see, you have something to look forward to.
Yay! But I wasn't going to release that arm, no matter what, because I had done enough of, the commitment to it was as if it was tied. I mean, there were times, and just a very small thing would be just to scratch some part or switch away something that was nibbling at me in not very nice areas. But I didn't, because I couldn't, had I really been tied. Stop laughing, this is serious. So, I mean, it's very hard to describe. I mean, if you're listening to that and you're laughing along with Chrism, it can sound like, it's so serious.
It's hard.
It was to me.
I can imagine having somebody nibbling on me in those not so nice areas.
Yeah, and but then as the night goes on, and your visual, your actual eyes, change, and you begin to see things, towards before dawn and that sort of thing. So you begin to see things. You become aware of presence around you that doesn't have corporeal form and a body. And that's besides knowing that there's creatures nearby because you've heard them in the undergrowth and all that sort of thing. And you become aware of all of that. And each time your fear comes, and then, you actually do, in a way, allow yourself, you do surrender to your Kundalini through all of that with absolute trust that whatever is to come is through her grace. So, in a way, you are offering yourself to whatever is there, but it's through the Kundalini that either happens or doesn't. So it's
Another
incredible.
way,
And, whoops.
yeah.
Are you still there? Oh, you're
Well,
there.
another way to come into a Chöd type is a Native American practice of being staked out. You're staked out, but it's a different kind of being staked out. Is first of all, you're not allowed to have any water or food.
Yeah.
And you drive a stake into the ground, and you tie a rope to the stake, and you tie the other end of the rope to your right ankle, and then you tie your hands behind your back, and that is where you stay for 3 days.
Huh.
And you're able to walk or crawl, but you're not able to eat or drink. And it's in a place where you have your privacy, but it's the environment, and whatever comes along, you're going to have to deal with. In the States, we have carnivores in the States. The snakes.
And you've got poisonous stuff. Spiders that are nibbling at you, and these kind of scorpions and things we don't have. So, there is that. I didn't have any of that.
We have coyotes. Coyotes would devour you. Bobcats might see you as possible prey. Even the buzzards might see you as a they might just line up waiting for you to die. The birds that eat the dead, the condors and the turkey vultures and things like that. And then, of course, there are wild dogs, as you mentioned, that would definitely take advantage. A lot of people, abuse the dogs here, and they run wild and they become wild, and they'll attack you. We have bears, we have puma, we have cougars, mountain lions that will come down and partake of you that way. It's far more of a challenge, really, to do a Chöd in the United States than it is, say, in some of the other countries that maybe don't have, like Singapore. It would be kind of a problem. Same with Hawaii, except if you're doing it near the lava flow. But there are
I agree with you. I do agree with you, but in a way, that is a real physical danger of those things occurring, and you are actually putting your physical body at risk. You really are. My worst physical risk was dogs, because there would be dogs badly treated here, but they wouldn't be wild. But that was the worst thing that could happen to me, because foxes and these things are more afraid of you, really. But Chrism, it's a lot of I don't think it matters in some. it does matter. I wouldn't be for putting a body out. I don't think it's necessary to do that.
Well, actually, if you look at it, if you do the full Chöd, right? If you do the full Chöd, where you do not have the ability to free yourself, that gives the strongest level of trust in the Kundalini, no matter what.
I think so, and I think I had that, even though I didn't.
You did the best you could within the circumstances that presented themselves for you. You weren't thinking of this stuff. I was thinking of this stuff, and I was thinking, okay, this would be a good place. They got this, they got that. The husband's there, the children are there. They could find her remains. Maybe in the morning or somewhere.
That was considerate. Yeah, but had a dog come along, my arm was so wrapped up anyway. I'm just saying, in some respects, had I been tied there by somebody who knew where I was, that would have also created a situation where there was safety, So, anyway.
Safety at the beginning and safety at the end, but not safety in between. You were right there next to that bog, that really, really mystical, powerful bog that you had down there in Kerry. There's a lot of.
I had visitors from there come up there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of spiritual and ancient, like 10, 12,000 year old Irish.
But it's a lot of it too is the fears that
Consciousness.
are, yeah. I mean, it's the fear of, our fears around a lot of things. I mean, if a person is living, say, in a place like Ireland or England or the UK where there is nothing predatory, but they have a real fear of spiders or midgets or whatever, and they go and
snakes.
do this. It's the same as having.
I'm looking at the chat room right now, and Manisha went ahead and gave the Wikipedia version of the Chöd, and she says, I might do the staking out. And I don't know which one she means, whether it's the Native American or the Chöd itself. I wonder if there should be a time sometime when we all go to a deserted area and do multiple stakeouts. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Well, I've already done it, guys, so I'll do the staking for you.
She's the
I shall lead you all out one by one, and I will take that title. Thank you.
And I will go to the zoo, and I will rent the lion, the tiger, and the wolves just to see if they're interested.
Oh.
No.
But it is a really interesting thing to do. I mean, people could, if they're interested at all, even in looking at what that might be like. If you're in an area where you've got some wilderness, you don't have to take off your clothes. Go out there to begin with and see what it's like to be in the wilderness on your own during the day. Go out and see what it's like to be there at dusk or dawn, and just become familiar with nature during that time. And then go out in the dark and see what that's like, and go out with a torch, go out without a torch, go out.
Wait.
There are various ways.
Hang on. You're taking all the power out of it. No. I'm going to suggest you don't get used to anything, and you go out there and you trust. You just trust. The whole idea is to trust.
Well, okay. Well, I understand what you're saying, but I suppose I'm saying that. Okay. Well, we probably, agree with that.
You got to trust. Now, the fact of the matter is, with you, we had gone out and I had, we had looked for the trees to do the star position with.
No, we hadn't. You had nothing to do with that. You weren't there.
I remember picking 4 trees.
Didn't. No, you didn't.
Maybe that was for Jonathan. I don't know which. But I know, but you had been into the forest and you knew the forest.
Oh, yes,
and you knew, there was a foreknowledge.
You had told me to go and see where my Kundalini would lead me, and she led me to a different part I had never been, and I found the 4 trees, and you told me to, that this is. I didn't know why you wanted me to do that, and I found, she led me to this area where there were 4 trees, and then when I came back and the next day you said I wanted to go to that area now with blah blah blah. I didn't know until the end, what was. That whole process was a trusting process as well,
Oh, totally,
of the Kundalini and your instruction for me.
Let me tell you that the forest is very different at night than it is in the daytime.
Yeah, totally.
Very different. Very different.
But if you've got somebody who's never ever gone into the forest ever, it's like suddenly doing. Oh well. Okay, well, I couldn't be a Chöd master to that. I'd have to have somebody, I think it's huge enough anyway.
No, you could be a Chöd master. Because you've already done it. So.
I know, but I also would have...
Chöd master. Take the fear out of the equation. You've got to allow the fear to remain.
I agree with you.
It's the action itself. It's the surrender. It is the sacrifice of safety that encourages the trust for the Kundalini. That is what it's all about, really, and that's what the Tibetans use it for too, is to commit the person to trust in the divine taking care of them. and coming to them.
And it's a huge acceleration of your trust. Like you could be doing A, B, and C for a long time. You do something like this, and it accelerates your trust. I mean, it doesn't accelerate. I mean, you're doing it for the trust and for the love of your Kundalini, and it accelerates that to such a degree that when Kundalini brings other things you trust, you really know how to trust the Kundalini. You've experienced it on so many levels of, gosh, so it's wonderful. I mean, I'm all for it. We might just maybe approach it differently. I mean, if you think about it, you didn't say to me one day, okay, leave the house now. You actually gave me an introduction without me knowing what I was going to do. So perhaps it's different if you know you're going to do a Chöd and you go out and you start building up to it. I didn't do that because I didn't know that's what I was going to be doing. So
well, that was the whole point. The whole point was for you not to know and to just trust.
Yeah.
Now, like say with Tomei or Manisha, they know that they're going to be doing a Chöd. And so we have to take them into an area where they might be consumed by a mountain lion or, something like that. And in Tomei's case, maybe out near a herd of reindeer, maybe, they'll be certain parts. Kidding.
Well, that's okay. Let me see. How is the chat room doing? Is everybody gone to sleep, or are people? What do you think, guys?
See, they're all sleeping. There's snoring over there. No, Manisha wants to do the speaking. I don't know if that's the Native American way or the Chöd way. Native American way takes longer because
I think I might. The 3 days? I could do that. I haven't done that, but the idea of being able to move about is interesting. Even though you'd only have a certain radius, I'm assuming the length of the there's a whole measurement.
There's a whole measurement. It'd be like 3 times your length, your body length, 3 times your body length, and then that rope is tied around the stake, and and then your hands are tied behind your back, and there is no water, there is no food. And so if you have like a blood sugar issue or something like that, you need to medically know that you can do a fast safely without endangering yourself medically. You need to.
There's other very interesting
if you can't,
things too.
Say again?
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
You have to be able to. You have to be able to excrete your excretory system works as well, in position. No, I mean really, that you might think that's very interesting. When that comes up,
look, when you're tied to a stake and your hands behind your back, you're going to excrete wherever you go. Now, I would choose one spot in the circle, to do the excrete. But
absolutely. And if you're tied in the star position, you don't get an option.
No, that's true. With the Chöd, you do not get an option. And if something comes up to you, like a bear or something comes up, and it can literally scare the excrete right out of you.
And also, as you do excrete, you're aware that sends certain signals in the air. Yeah. And you're aware of what that might attract. So there's a lot of things come up around that. I mean, there's so much.
A lot of fear.
It's amazing.
It's a real good possibility for fear. But that's also where you might have a Chöd master standing by, if they can stay awake, and just like, oh, God, Amelia's out there. Oh, maybe just another couple of hours of sleep. If you have like an irresponsible Chöd master out there, where the person is doing the full-on Chöd, but they have that safety net of a Chöd master. Well, that can work as well. Because you just want to find an irresponsible one that doesn't really, well, yeah, I knew you're out there, but I just I had to sleep, or I had to go.
Well, it's not a chode if a chode master is popping back every couple of hours to check if you're okay.
No. They never pop in.
Oh yeah.
They'll only see you from a distance.
Oh, you mean there's somebody knows where you are then, and that you know that they're within a certain, and you know they're awake, and they'll hear you if you're attacked?
You don't know that they're awake, but you know that they know, and that after a certain amount of time, they're going to come in and tie you.
Oh. Okay.
And the Tibetans know this too. They don't leave the acolyte out there, for the rest of their lives to die of a slow starvation. They know that somebody's going to come in and tie them. So they have Chöd masters too. Theirs is just much more of a strict case of, well, if the lions come and get you, then they come and got you, and that was just your karma. Have a nice day.
So they're not doing that in a Kundalini context, are they? Can you explain?
Well,
I was very clear. What are they doing? Tell us. Okay.
They are and they aren't. First of all, they don't call it the Kundalini. They'll call it the Tumo. They'll call it, something along the lines of Tibetan Buddhism. You got to understand that Tibetan Buddhism recognizes entities. They recognize the demons. They recognize certain areas of the astral, the lower astral, the mid astral. They recognize it. They have names for it. They know the characteristics of these creatures. They know a lot more than contemporary Western understandings know. Western understanding. I've got a book of demonology from the Tibetans. They know about entities, and they know what they do, and they know what their jobs are. They know all of it. Not all of it, but they know a lot of it. And so when they go out and do Chöd, they know that all this stuff's coming in from the astral. It's coming in, from the natural environment, from the supernatural environment. When they do a Chöd, they know that person is really putting themselves at risk, no matter that they know that someone's going to come out and untie them. Okay. And it is a strong level of trust that a person goes through with that. And so it's something really to consider strongly before you do it. And it's the same with the Native American one too, where you're able to walk around in a circle, right? Your hands are tied, and a pebble is put in your mouth, and a small pebble is put in your mouth so that you can drink your saliva. I forgot to add that. But that's for 72 hours, day and night, day and night. Yeah, that's true. Right?
Yeah. Wow.
And that's typically done in a very sunny environment, like in the desert area, so that you bake.
So who did that? Native Americans, is it?
The Apache, the Navajo, the Hopi. Yeah, the Native Americans would do that. The Comanche. And they do even worse things too. They'll do like the sun ceremony where you hook, you put hooks made out of bone through your own rib cage, through your ribs, through the flesh of your ribs, and those are tied to rope, and then connected to a high pole, and then you are suspended in the air by your rib cage and the hook that's through your rib cage, and you're suspended in the air that way for a while. I'm not suggesting that for people. It's a little bit of an overkill.
Oh, God. Yeah. Was that a rite of passage, we'll say, at puberty?
Yeah.
That's staking. Oh, yeah. Was it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rite of passage. I don't know if it was puberty. I think it was like some level of warriorship or manly type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't recall women doing that, but the men would do that.
Right, okay.
With what we're talking about, men or women, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Kundalini doesn't make that gender delineation, man or woman.
Yeah.
And I suggest that people strongly consider this. I really do. The Chöd, perhaps with a Chöd master, put them in a pub somewhere, and say, yeah, I'm out here. That might be better. But
yeah.
It's a matter of trust. And it's like, if you have a Chöd master, just say, make the agreement, yeah, come check on me in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Check on me in the morning and untie me if I'm still alive.
Once dawn had come, I was able to untie myself. So the light came and then I untied myself.
You did it better. Yours was good because you had no idea what you were following the instructions. You had no idea why you were given these instructions.
No, and you didn't. But
no.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And I mean, I think even if you know of it and you've heard it,
and there's another thing that you did. There's another thing that you did that we haven't talked about too much. We mentioned it one time.
What's that?
Is to lead, have your, we'll just call him a Chöd master. Have the Chöd master lead you blindfolded into the forest, deep, deep, deep into the forest. Tie your hands behind your back and tie the blindfold on very tight. And then find your way back blindfolded through the forest, through the thorns, through the briars, through the streams, through everything. Yeah. Or even you could even do that without, tying your hands behind your back. But didn't you do that? Didn't you find your way back to the house blindfolded?
Yeah. You had me. You gave me instructions around things like that then too. Yeah, I would go out I would leave my clothes in a certain area. I would then just bring the blindfold and I would walk in a certain direction and then blindfold myself and come back to where my clothes were. And you gave and it would be on my hands and knees. And then there were other things where I would start from there and I would have to go for certain and come back. So yeah, and I did come. It was quite amazing. I mean, I did that quite often actually during one particular phase. And it's amazing how you're able to see with your hands. You know what's in front of you. You sense the trees. You stop banging into things. You don't have to put your hand out in front of you going tap, 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 tap. It's amazing. But you have to do it a lot. I mean, I'm sure I bang into things now, but in those days back then, it was an amazing development of extra senses and trust.
You can see why people have a hard time having me as their teacher.
Yeah, of course I can.
Because I'm crossing the lines. I'm crossing the lines of social acceptability all the time, and it's necessary. It's necessary for people within a Kundalini, scenario, and I think it's very, very, very helpful. And you're a good example of it, Centaur. You've come out shining. You're much brighter than you were going into it.
Well, I have to say that, I'm very grateful for all of that, from the Kundalini and from you. I mean, it was she put me down into Kerry in the first place because I was living up in the city. My kids were going to schools. We were happy out, and things were going well. And when I started to get this, pull that I was to go down to Kerry, which made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. It was after the seminar, actually. We'd had the seminar. We had done up a house in Kerry that was originally John's and took out a mortgage, blah, blah, blah. And so I was going, what? No, thank you. My life is fine. But she kept at me, until I couldn't deny it. We were going to maybe try it the following year. And I had to go to John and say, John, it's done now. I remember saying it to you as well, Chrism. And anyway, we went very quickly down to Kerry, took our two kids out of school. And it wasn't until I got there and various things began to happen. And I mean, that was 2011, I think. Yeah. That I began to realize why she had moved me down into that area, because I had to do this work. I had no choice. And I do believe that Kundalini brings us into situations where we have to actually listen to what she's directing us to do, whether we like it or not, and just follow her instructions and, do as she is giving for us to do. And so, it was it was hard, it was, there were times, and it was insane.
9 years.
But,
9 years.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't all like that for 9 years, but there was a good 4 years of intensity like that, Wow, 3 and a bit anyway. But 9 altogether, yeah. And I mean, so I don't know. I just think we need to listen to our Kundalini because, ego doesn't like the stuff, but, she knows where she's at and she knows where we're at, where I was at.
That's the main thing. You came so far so quickly because you made the choice to pay attention to what the Kundalini was guiding you to do, regardless of what I would say. You made the choice to continue to to surrender to the Kundalini. And yeah, she gave me every strange and difficult test to give to you that I was, guided to do back then. I mean, everything from the cold water thing with your husband watching to the various ocean tests that were done to the various going out into the storm, doing the various things that I had you do, walking the flower of life.
I need to say something. Yeah. I need to say something about that. I didn't do those things because you had some kind of a weirdy hold over my brain, or that you had in some way
my black magic. Are you talking about my black magic?
No. This is important now. That you weren't brainwashing me. You hadn't some kind of a hold. I wasn't doing it to receive any sort of phenomena or input or anything like that. I was doing it because my Kundalini gave for me to do it, and it was about making changes towards surrender to my Kundalini and trust of my Kundalini. And these things that might seem like really forced, let's say, instruction, when I agreed and when I said yes to those, that I would do these instructions as were given to me to do, those were the things that expanded my relationship with my Kundalini and that allowed me to trust with my Kundalini. And I don't mean to put you in a way. You were giving me this instruction, but the actual doing of it and the surrender to it was to my Kundalini and to the grace that she was giving me this opportunity to partake of with her. You typing?
Carolyn, I told Carolyn that she needs to consider a Chöd. I said, consider a Chöd, Carolyn. And she says, what is a Chöd? And I said, Centaura could be your Chöd master. So yeah. But no, you're absolutely right. This was all about the Kundalini. This was not about Chrism. This is all about the Kundalini. All about the Kundalini. Totally. No one else,
and
nothing
people
else.
misunderstand that all the time, and they think that there's some kind of weirdy thing going on, and there isn't. I have never at any point, and some of those things were very...
It was always about your Kundalini. Every single piece of our interaction, all about the Kundalini.
Yeah, always. And also, some of those things that I was given to do that would be considered extreme, or if you were to watch them from the outside, and even maybe people listening will still feel this, they were extreme or manipulative or whatever word you want to use in them. No, they were not. I wasn't a victim of anything. I was completely at one with my Kundalini in doing this, even though it wasn't easy. Now maybe I was lucky or graced or something that I always understood that. And so even when my ego had a kickback, which of course it had, or we had clashes, Chrism, I still always understood that. And I think I look now at, various
she would prove it to you.
And I'm so thankful for that, because she did over and over.
The Kundalini would also prove it to you. She'd prove it to you. After you do a certain thing, the Kundalini would come to you, and you would feel a level of, that's what's going on here. Like with the eating the fish that one time from being vegetarian for 2 years, right? Or even vegan.
That's right.
I think you were almost vegan. And I mean, you would get positive feedback from your grace, and you got that a lot. You'd get visited by grace-based power animals like the panther, which are not native to Ireland. Like I think there was also a stag in that forest that you would be visited by, and various. I believe we took some photographs that actually showed things like elves or fairies or types of things that were curled up in the ground around you.
Yeah, there was.
This is real stuff, folks. This is not. Nobody's making this stuff up. This is real, and you could see it in the photographs she took, and I don't know where they are, but real.
Gosh, I don't
deal.
either.
And
they're around somewhere. Yeah.
And
who know these things? Anybody who commits, and opens themselves to surrendering to their Kundalini. I mean, Manisha is there now, and she has said, and she's actually being serious now. I know she is. When she's saying I might do the staking, 3 times my body length.
I know.
No,
Well, that's
she
what
really
I love
is.
about Manisha.
Yeah.
For those of us
She's
who know
open.
Manisha will do it.
Yeah, she will.
Manisha will do it. She's got that level of courage. She's got that level of grace. Yeah. I think Tomei would probably do it, and I think Emma would do it too. I think basically everybody's there.
I don't know, as though he has done it, and it looks as if he hasn't, but there's something about something. I don't know. I think Emma would do it.
He's a wild man.
Maybe that's
He's a wild man. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I think Jan would do it. I think everybody who went to the German seminar would do it, because they know, they feel, they know. And that means Tomei, Manisha, Jan, Emma. I think Carolyn would benefit, especially in conjunction with you.
Carolyn has said she's not as disciplined. So yeah, I think so. And look, Manisha is saying she knows where to buy the rope. Sweating.
Tomei says I love this stuff.
And Emma says I might. Me too, says Manisha. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just feel sit with it, and you know whether your Kundalini is, you're hearing this conversation. So Jan says he has the rope already. Jan. Oh, hi Jan. Good to see you here.
Yeah. So look, for the listeners,
Oh, Carolyn, rope for what? Oh dear, you'll have to listen.
You got to answer her. I'm gonna. For the listeners, this is actualizing your surrender. Yeah. This is a level of self-induced struggle about being alone in a wild place without control of your arms and your legs, without control over your fears, except for those that you do your best with, and giving yourself completely to the trust of the sacred divine within you, within her realm, within the realm of a wild area or a wild area.
Safe wild area.
A safe wild area. And I do recommend I do recommend a Chöd master. I really do. It will be scary enough I promise you.
Yeah.
But you do need to have someone able to see you, and possibly even hear your vocalizations, which can be very different. But
the one thing that people mightn't know is that my forest wasn't public. My forest was at the end of a field
private.
that people, there were no paths as such. So it had that as the Chöd master in inverted commas, because no people would go in there. So there was that. Also, I didn't expect to be interrupted by any weirdo in the middle of the night, which could happen in the public woods. So I would totally agree with that.
And you had the bog. You had the bog, which is
a buffer,
a repository of really strong spiritual significance and history, and it's beyond temporal mechanics. I mean, what happened in that place 10,000 years ago is still as fresh and alive as if it happened 10 minutes ago. The bog has its own consciousness, and this is where Amelia was given to do her Chöd. And so, you got to understand that these things come to us at the right time and when you're in the right place. That's important to remember. And you got to remember that you're naked. And yes, let the shit be thrown at me for saying the NAKED word. You are naked. You are tied to trees or you're tied to stakes. You can't get out. You could scream your head off and nobody will hear, not even your jump master, your Chöd master. So you're completely free to freak out.
We have 2 minutes left. We have 2 minutes left here. Don't get cut off in the middle of that.
Thank you. Any last words, Tara?
No, I have no last words. I will leave it at that, guys. See you all next week. Love you all. Bye.
We'll see you next week, and may a Chöd be with you, my friends. May a Chöd be with you. Once again, I want to thank everybody who has set up a seminar and who is setting up seminars. That would include Michael Del Sol in Florida, and Manisha in Germany, and Mohan in India. And I would like to say thank you for everyone who is listening, for everyone who is being challenged by what we're saying and the teachings that I give. I want to thank you for being challenged. I want to thank you for all of the different responses that are coming through from that challenge. And I will continue as long as I can to give these kinds of teachings and these kinds of experiences that step over societal boundaries as we explore and initiate contact with the divine Kundalini. Thank you for listening, everyone. I'll end it as we started it.